Alright guys, today we're going over Enigma, which is a very important item to the game. It's a very important item for new players to understand how good it is and how you need to prioritize getting it as soon as possible on most characters. Outside of a sorceress, although you can still get Enigma as it's extremely valuable on all characters. So let's start with the kind of crux of the item, which is the +1 to teleport, which that gives you an O skill of teleport. So you get a level 1 teleport right here, which is buffed by all of your all skills, only all skills. So as you see with Death's Web, it has a +2 to all skills, so the teleport goes up to level 3, which it is nice because it does reduce the mana cost, and it is an O skill, like I said. If it wasn't an O skill, it would not be. It only does that when it says +1 to teleport. Otherwise, it only applies to a sorceress. But then, because it's a no skill, it also gets the plus all skills. So this +2, +2, +2. You see this +2 to necromancer skill levels. That does not. It's only +2 all skills. So right there I have 6. Here I have an additional 2, so it's 8. Here I have 1, so it's 9, 10. So additional +10, which is nice, does reduce the mana cost, which does help when you have a lower mana cost teleport. But, so teleport is extremely important for the game. And obviously I'll just show it off right here. It's a standard teleport skill. It's a skill that you would have on a sorceress by default at level, what is it, 18 I believe? 18 or 24, I believe it's 18. But anyway, that's the default sorceress skill, but then you can acquire it on necromancer, as I've done right here, which is extremely valuable for something like, say, Poison Nova, where I can teleport and use Nova and just clear out a whole area. If you didn't have teleport on this character, and say I was running, let's just say Arcane's Valor, I would still get a +2, but I wouldn't be able to teleport, which is a massive decrease to my farming speed. Let's go over the second most important part of the item, and that's the plus to strength. Getting plus to strength based on character level is extremely valuable, because in something like this Mage Blade, which is the base I'm using, again, it's a 3 rune, so you're gonna want a 3-socket base. In my opinion, and some people have different opinions, I believe Mage Plate is the best base for this armor, period. Some people say Archon Plate, some people say Dust Shroud. I don't agree with that, because the second most valuable thing of Enigma is getting that strength, which if you look at Mage Plate, it has a 55 required strength. Then it gets a +63. So with 0 investment into strength and just my torch for all attributes, which is strength 17, and my Annie, which is 19, I'm getting +36 with my base. I don't have to put any points into strength. Now, I have a little more strength on this character because I was leveling him, but ideally this number would be way lower because I don't need 200, right? And then you'd put more points in here. Maybe you want higher block rate. I'm at 68. It could be 72, but probably more than likely you're going to want to go Vitality just to maximize your durability. And what that allows you to do by getting that 63 to strength is equip everything else on your character. For example, I have a homunculus that requires a strength of 106. I automatically would be able to equip this with 0 strength invested. Sandstorm Trek's 81, so automatically I can equip my homunculus. Now, if you go Archon Plate, Archon Plate requires 100 strength, around there. Okay, that was weird. Where was I? Archon Plate requires 100 strength, so you're going to have to invest in strength. So in my opinion, it's not the best armor. You want the 15 enhanced Mage Plate, bar none, best base. You could maybe do Dust Shroud, but I think Dust Shroud requires about 75 strength, and you're really getting a slight defensive bonus, because let's talk about the third best thing about this armor. Well, there's a lot of good things, but that plus 752 defense is flat defense. So something like a Mage Plate that has a defense of 300, you're just getting flat. So 752 added goes up to 1045 defense. That's a pretty decent number, especially for a low level armor. Mage Plate is extremely low level and strength required, so to have 1045 is pretty insane. If you use this in an Archon plate, you would be at about 1200 defense. So in my opinion, it's just never worth it for an extra 200 defense to require an additional 50 strength. So yeah, that flat defense means you can put this Runeword in basically any armor that's a low level, and it is instantly decent defense. You could even put this in, a 3-sock quilted armor. You could put it in the lowest possible base, and it would still be 700-800 armor, right? About 800, something around there. And that defense does roll, but I think it's 750 to 775, so it's not a big deal. And then let's go over 45 run walk, which is fantastic. You are teleporting a lot, but it does give you that massive boost. If you see, I'll take the armor off. Although, yeah, I can take it off.
I can't.
Okay, I don't really want to drop it. That's actually a huge difference. Look, it's like, it feels like double, but it says 45%. And then the +2 to all skills, which is fantastic for any caster class to get additional damage, as well as the +2 to teleport. Damage all of your abilities, every skill. If you have any additional O skills, you're just getting +2 to everything. It's fantastic. And on top of it, you also get max life 5%, which is a nice little buff just to make you a little more tanky. That combined with the physical damage received reduced by 8% is fantastic as well. It just makes you a little more tanky from the armor. 14 to life after each kill. It's going to top up your life. If I dive into 20 enemies with Poison Nova and kill them, I'm going to get, a couple hundred life. It's going to keep my health up. So almost everything on this armor is just fantastic. And then you have 15% damage taken goes to mana, which again is gonna, if you take a little bit of damage, you're gonna pop some mana up. And then a additional massive benefit to this armor is the better chance of getting magic items based on character level. So I'm level 84, I believe, and I have an additional 84%, so it's 1% per level, which is huge. You're not getting that on any other armor besides Scalders. So it's pretty massive, and almost everything on this armor is amazing. It's going to increase your farming speed significantly, right? If you think about something that is very common is Bale runs, how long would it take me without teleport to get from level 2 to level 4, or the throne room, right? It's going to take you so much longer than just teleporting along. You can go through walls. That's the other thing about teleport. Through walls. So you can cut corners, you can shave down your time. Like, boom, I just got there. Right? That would have taken me significantly longer. And again, you do have the skill available to you on a sorceress, and that's why a lot of ladder starts, or when you're first starting out to the game, you do play sorceress, because you're going to have a significantly faster farming time. If you're playing Sorc and you want to play other characters, you're going to want to farm this as soon as possible. And it does take a Jaw, Ith, or obviously Ith is fairly common, low level rune, and then the Jaw and the Burr are tough to get. They're fairly high rune. They're not the rarest, but obviously they're very tough to drop. And what you're going to want to do is, if you can drop them, that's incredible. But when you're first starting out, you're going to want to find gear that you can trade for these items. The jaw, the burr, ists. If you can trade for ists and then trade the ists for jaw and burr, that would be fantastic as well. What if I have anything here? Here's a 35 res viper magi. You could probably get, you know, decent value for this, and you just gotta find gear, continue to sell it, continue to build towards that jaw and burr, because like Enigma is the most important item you need to get, bar none. On, I would say every build, every class. I don't recommend really ever not using Enigma outside of very niche situations, one of them being the new Horizon set for Warlock, which I'm going to talk about in a video coming up. But you're going to want to rush this at all points. And I think that's it. Again, prioritize it. It'll make your life very, very fast, very easy. You're farming incredible. And if you have any questions about the item down below, feel free to ask. In my opinion, it's the best item in the game, best rune word in the game, and everybody needs it. So that's why you see the price of jaw and burr being the pinnacle of the game. Really, jaw is the pinnacle price for a rune. Even overtaking things like a Zod rune that is more rare, jaw is always going to be worth more because Enigma is just awesome. Let me go over to another character briefly and just show you something cool, because I have 3 different Enigmas. I'll go over to my barb, level 99 barbarian here, and this is actually the highest. This is a great Harburg with 15% enhanced defense. I actually rolled 1 defense on perfect. He's rolled 774. It can roll 775. So it could have been 1352. It's 1 defense off perfect max, and their required strength is 118. So for that additional 60 to 70 strength over the mage plate, I'm only gaining 300 defense, which on most characters is not valuable. I do like to use this one on my barb because that defense is multiplied by shout. So shout gives you 170%. So that 170% is multiplied by the additional defense. It gives me a lot of extra defense. Plus it looks cool. So that's why I'm really using it on my barb. But in most situations, you don't really want to do that. You want to go for the mage plate. Let me go over to one more character that I have it on my Amazon. This is another kind of cool Enigma that I made just for style points. I made it in an ancient armor, which has a required strength of 100. So again, it doesn't make sense to make this over mage plate unless you're just trying to make cool gear, which I like the ancient armor because it looks cool. So I made this Enigma, and it has a 14% against defense. But this item, this is actually lower defense than the mage plate, but it requires 100 strength. So again, it doesn't make any sense to make this unless you're going for style, and I think it looks awesome on my Amazon. Fully golded out. But yeah, prioritize it. Get your mage plate, get your jaw, get your burr, make your Enigma, and make your life easy. Again, any questions, let me know. Comment, like, subscribe. And that's all, guys.